Hello, good evening, and welcome to the episode of The Story So Far YouTube channel. For the past several days, every news channel and even newspapers are reporting about Israel, Iran, Lebanon. If you watch the news channels, the picture is the same. Rockets flying in the sky today, airstrikes, smoke on the ground, destruction, shrieks and mourning. This is what is going on now. Amidst all this and all this destruction, between these two enemy countries, two hearts are beating with love for each other. What would you call it? It is not unusual. It is possible that there is a heart inside them that beats, which loves. It is not necessary that every person hates only for the sake of hatred. I am telling this story of two such lovers. It is the mistake and misfortune of the people who were born in two countries whose foundation was laid on hatred. One Israel and the other Palestine. The British divided these two countries in the same way as they divided India and Pakistan. And since these two countries were born, ammunition, rockets, bombs, these things have become a part of their fate every day, every week, every month. And in the midst of all this, a love story suddenly begins. On one side there are bombs, explosions, bullets, dead bodies, and on the other side there is a person who falls in love with a girl from his enemy country and then he sees a rose even in the bomb. His 4 lines are that when bombs fall from the sky and I see a rose which has come out of a crack in the wall. I do not say that there was shelling from the sky. I see the rose and say, wow, what a day this is. This is the story of the love between a Palestinian boy and an Israeli girl. The girl who later became an officer in the Israeli Defense Force and perhaps even worked for some time in the Mossad. This is the story of a boy who was born in Palestine but later became famous in the whole of Arabia. He is counted among the great poets of Arabia. A boy who loved his country as much as he loved the girl. Even though he knew that she was a Jewish girl and lived on the land of Israel, Palestine's biggest enemy. She was born there and she is in Palestine and the war between these two is going on. Now, in the midst of this war, how does their love blossom? What is the outcome of this love and why do people still talk about this love? Present the full story. It is from 1948 when the British divided Palestine into 2 parts. They created Israel on one part and Palestine on the other. After that this dispute started which has been going on for the last 76 years. In 1948 when Palestine was divided, both sides fought for the first time. And at that time a Palestinian boy was watching this war very closely. His name was Mahmoud Darwish. He was 7 years old when the country was divided. Palestine felt as if they had been cheated because the country in which they gave shelter to Israel gradually occupied their land and the rest was done by the British. The war is going on. The 16-year-old child is watching. The war has gradually intensified. Mahmoud Darwish's family felt that they were not safe here. So, like thousands of Palestinian refugees, his family also leaves Palestine and reaches a nearby country, Lebanon, the same Lebanon that is burning these days. This family settles in Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. Mahmoud Darwish does menial jobs there to support his family. His mother and father were illiterate. His grandfather lived together and his grandfather was an educated man. He taught Mahmoud. It was there that he developed a passion for reading and writing. Slowly he grew up and then he wondered how long he would take refuge in another country. His family encouraged him and said, let's return to Palestine. The whole family then returns to Palestine. Even after coming to Palestine, the conditions were not good, but somehow they managed to survive. Time passes slowly. Now Mahmoud Darwish is about 17 years old. His thinking is that of a patriot. After coming there, he joins a communist party and under the banner of that communist party, he gives speeches and writes poetry. It was good. He also writes poetry. There is a place in Israel called Raqqa. One day, there was a program of a communist party. Mahmoud Darwish was going there and reciting his poetry. He was trying to instill enthusiasm in the people through it. At the same place, another member of a communist party was participating in the function. She is stunned to see a 17-year-old boy standing on the stage and reciting poetry in a way that increased the enthusiasm of patriotism. The girl keeps listening to him silently. The function ends. Suddenly, the boy's eyes also fall on the girl because she was staring at him continuously. He looks at her and both fall in love with each other at first sight. Both of them talk to each other. It was love at first sight, and after some time of that love, both of them came to know that one is Palestinian and the other is Israeli. Mahmoud Darwish was from Palestine, and the girl to whom he fell in love at first sight was named Tamar Bin Ami. She was an Israeli citizen and 16 years old. Tamar Bin Ami was beautiful looking, from a good family, from a rich family, and she had the same passion for her country that Darwish had. But in the thinking of both of them and in that poem, the poem which was read at that time, Darwish is talking about Palestine and its rights. But the lines were such that if any citizen of the country accepts that poem, then it will be that he is talking about the rights of his country and his people. This is what Amy liked, and she fell in love with him. Now slowly both of them started meeting in such functions, but it was a matter of a Jew and a Palestinian. She also knew that this is a very big gap and cannot be bridged. Israel and Palestine can never be united. In the same way, a Jew and a Palestinian Muslim, no one will let them be united, but still both of them kept meeting sometimes. But slowly this series of meetings started decreasing because many people were watching. Such relationships are under surveillance. The situation was tense. Now the series of letters started. Darwish writes letters, but in the meantime he has written many poems. Now the problem he faced was that those poems were patriotic and inspiring. Now he has to mention his love in them, but in that love the person he loves is a Jew, Israeli, and he cannot tell about it openly because it will have many bad consequences. Then Darwish thought that he will give a new pen name to his love which no one will know. The truth will not come out in front of anyone. And finally he kept the name of Tamar Bin Ami in his poem, in his diary, and in his heart with the name of Rita. Now he changed Amy to Rita. Now he used to write his poem, and in this time he wrote about 8 poems, and in every poem Rita was mentioned. He used to refer to his beloved as Rita. But the world did not know that who is Rita? And at many places people consider Rita as a country and Palestine as well. That means you can consider her as a lover or a country. The poem was written in such a way that it was full of enthusiasm. Slowly it continued and people did not come to know about it. And the series continued. During this time I wrote many poems, and through those poems, when both of them were meeting and writing letters, many things used to happen that were about love and about both the countries. Like at one place in the letter, Darwish wrote to Rita that you are that sword which wins. In return Rita tells him that you are that knife which escapes. Now if you look at it from the perspective of Israel and Palestine, Palestine is saying to Israel that you are that sword which wins, and Israel is saying to Palestine that you are that knife which escapes. In this way things continued. He kept writing letters. Their love affair. Everything went on, but slowly Darwish started emerging as a great poet. Patriotism, Palestine, everything was going on at that time. During this time PLO came, Palestine Liberation Organization. Yasser Arafat was the leader. Then all their constitutions started being written, in which Darwish was given a very big role. Now as Darwish's stature grew as a revolutionary poet, as a poet, Rita was getting away from him in a way, because both of them loved each other, but their love for their respective countries was as true. Rita loved Israel as much as Darwish loved Palestine, and they probably knew the outcome of their love, but still both of them were united on an unknown hope. All this was going on during this time. And Darwish wrote a poem and named it Rita and Rifle, and in this poem at one place he writes that Rita's name was a feast for my mouth. Rita's body was a wedding in my blood. But obviously the intolerant government was against this love. There was a rifle between Rita and my eyes. Now on one hand they talked about love, and on the other hand the wall between them was also told. In this way, seeing his love at one place and the reality of Israel and Palestine. The poet, who is also a lover, writes that, I love you no matter my caste. Why not there be chains of customs in my city? I love you no matter my caste, my city, and the chains of customs. Why not? But I am afraid that if I sell everyone, you will sell me. I will return disappointed. Unfortunately, such love ends like this. But still the relationship between the two continued. During this time Mahmoud Darwish wrote a poem, and its name was I Am an Arab. I Am an Arab. And later the Arab countries themselves used this poem as a symbolic protest in whatever protest took place. But Israel took this poem in a different way and said that you are inciting. They picked up the Darwish and put him in jail. Now the Darwish is in jail. Now their Rita is Tamar Bin Ami and slowly her age is increasing. Now she is not a 16-year-old girl, but she is 23 to 24. It has been a year now. The series of letters is also going on, and we are writing letters without knowing whether we will get the letter or not, but sometimes we get a reply. Meanwhile, suddenly in Israel, whoever goes to school or college there or whoever is an Israeli citizen, once he becomes an adult, he has to work in the Israeli military for some time. It is a must because the total population of Israel is less than 1 crore, so you need soldiers. Incidentally, Rita also loved her country no less. She applied for the Israeli Defense Force, that is IDF, passed all the tests and then got selected in the Israeli Defense Force or Israeli Army. Now, this is where the conflict in this love begins. Till now, Rita was an ordinary girl, a young girl who fell in love with a Palestinian boy at the age of 16 at first sight. Both love each other, write letters to each other and share everything with each other, but love their own country's borders as much as they should. But now the situation has taken a turn. Darwish is continuously writing poems against Palestine and the atrocities being committed on Palestine. And on the other hand, his lover, his girlfriend, has now joined the Israeli Defense Force. Now, she is about to become an officer. She just has to undergo training, and after training, she will have to undergo training for about a year. After that, she has to take charge. Now, after joining the Israeli Defense Force, many Mossad people go through it, so it is also possible that Rita, i.e. Tamar Bin Ami, reaches Mossad later on. But Israel has its own laws and rules, their loyalty. Will you not do anything that can affect the security of your country and its confidentiality? There was a weak link, and that was love for Mahmoud Darwish, because he was a Palestinian, and love with a Palestinian means you can share any secret tomorrow. Now Rita had to choose between Israel, the Israeli force, and her love for Darwish. She did not face much difficulty in choosing. The reason for this was that through many of his poems, Mahmoud Darwish himself had given her the message and advice to love. Do whatever you want to do it. Never betray your country. Because the country is also a lover, so you did not take much time to think. Coincidentally, during that time Darwish had written a poem, about which Israel was angry. And here he is in jail with an appointment letter in his hand. Now his training has started. After 1 year Tar has to become an officer, and he became an officer, and here a Palestinian is in jail, and he has emerged as a rebel poet. For the freedom of the people of Palestine and for their rights, both could not meet. Then Rita decided that now this journey of love will have to be stopped here. She knew that one day, in Darwish's jail, he would go with the appointment letter of IDF, i.e. Israeli Defense Force, in which after training, he had to become an officer from next year. That appointment letter, she reaches the same jail with Mahmoud Darwish. When she reaches the jail, the jailer is surprised, and she tells him that she wants to meet Mahmoud Darwish. He says that why have you come to meet that Palestinian when you are a Jew? Then she says that I am his lover, and I have come to meet him because I want to say goodbye to him forever. I want to say goodbye to him with my own mouth, and that is why I have come. The jailer understands this and allows the meeting. She goes and meets Mahmoud Darwish. She tells Mahmoud Darwish the truth. She shows him the letter. This was the meeting between them. After this, Rita returns from there. When she returns, Mahmoud Darwish writes a line on this meeting and on Rita's decision, because he knew that this would be the outcome. And that line on this incomplete love was that I felt when Rita returned to that jail. The last meeting I had felt as if my motherland has been captured again. It means that someone else has captured it. After this, Rita leaves. After some time, she also comes out of jail. Slowly she becomes famous by writing her poems. Then Manu Chat reaches Moscow. He teaches in the university there. Then he comes back. After this series continued, but he did not stop writing letters and kept sending them to Rita's address. And this series continued till Mahmoud was alive. Time kept passing. Later Mahmoud had many heart diseases and problems. Finally, in 1967, he had a heart surgery in Houston, Texas, America. On the 3rd day of the surgery, he died. Earlier also, the last time the letter was written was in 1992. It is said that Mahmoud and Rita met in Paris. It was the last meeting, and at that time Rita had written a poem on him. And they never met again, but Rita kept writing the letter. Now she is almost 70 years old and is still alive in Berlin, Germany. Rita kept all those letters of Mahmoud Darwish safe. Rita did not marry either. Mahmoud Darwish did not marry either. A documentary maker came to know about this story and he went to Berlin to meet Rita and questioned her there. Then Rita revealed that yes, actually Darwish's Rita is me, and in 2008 Mahmoud Darwish himself had also revealed that the Rita in his poem on whom 8 poems are based. Poems he wrote were written by none other than Amy. After that, after his death, Mahmoud Darwish's body was brought back to Israel. After that, it was buried near Ramallah, and it is said that when Mahmoud Darwish died in that hospital in Texas, the last few lines of the poem he had written were the same. That I told you in the beginning and in today's situation, whatever is happening in Beirut and other places, it is almost the same story. The last lines before death, and these lines are also important because on one side, there are bombs and on the other side there is love, gunpowder and roses. So this last line before death was that when bombs fall from the sky and I see a rose which has come out of the track in the wall, I do not say that there has been shelling from the sky. I look at the rose and say what day it was. This was the complete story of the incomplete and regrettable love story of a Palestinian and a Jewish girl. That is all for today. Subscribe to The Story So Far YouTube channel. Also like, share and comment. I would definitely love to listen to any suggestions or feedback from all. This is Neo, signing off. See you in the next episode with a new story. Till then, take care of yourself and your loved ones. Thank you very much.